And the winner is...
Is it me? Is it me?
Dylan Mulvaney!
Oh.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the End of the Week podcast. And on today's fun-filled Double D Cup edition, pinups galore from many women I've admired in the past, including Pans People. That's right, if you were a fan of Pans People back in the day, my favourites were Babs, Sherry Gillespie, but the GOAT, the lately departed Ruth Pearson. Ruth, you're a beautiful, undulating doll of a dancer, and I will always have your moves embedded in my cyborg memory. And of course, speaking of cyborgs, my special guest star today is the one, the only, Rachel Zegler. Give it up to Rachie, baby. Oh, Rachel, you meant to be coming in stage right, love. So remember that, bitch. And have I got a news article about her for you? So without further ado, folks.
The Cringe-pocalypse with Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog. Go ahead. Make his day.
And while I'm at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Batter that algorithm until it goes into submission. And speaking of which, the Metal Gear Solid Collection, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it's being re-released again as an HD collection. But what's really funny is that now this disclaimer appears on the collections that notes the creator's original vision hasn't been changed. Now, the original creator was Hideo Kojima. He worked with Konami for many, I think it was like over 25 years, because he joined them as a wee teenager, and he's produced some of the most acclaimed Metal Gear games. Like when Phantom Pain came out, some people thought it was a bit of he was forced to do it. He spent so much money on the game, and the end result was... it was a very mixed bag, shall we say. That's how he and Konami had their acrimonious split. So I find it quite amusing. This is something they have to do now. It's like Konami won the ESG score as well. And it's like, hey, by the way, we're just throwing shade at our former creator and partner. Apparently that's a cause for concern. But I've got the original HD collection anyway, and I can play that whenever I want to because I won't have those silly disclaimers popping up in my game. I don't need to see disclaimers on my entertainment. I think pretty soon, if they start to re-release Golden Age comics again, there's probably going to be disclaimers on those as well, like, oh, be careful, there'll be depictions of scantily clad women that you might find offensive. Oh, you mean like this?
We here at Shasta McNasty have occasionally been accused of being insensitive. We apologize. It would be very easy with our lingerie store setting to go for the cheap laughs by referring to women's breasts with words such as melons. You will not hear me say that tonight. Nor will you hear me say chi-chis, tatas, yayas, yo-hoos, speed bumps, fun bags, dirty pillows.
And speaking of women, Dylan Mulvaney won an award this week. Give it up for Dylan. I'm not going to spend too much on this guy because I know a lot of you don't really like the sight of him and me covering Dylan Mulvaney. Not for all the Bud Lights in the world would I ever do that. That was such a badly key phrased, and I'm keeping it in the video because you know what, folks? It's absolutely hysterical.
And I'm not about to lay down on my back and let someone cover me.
I thank you very much.
So this is a 1 minute and 59 clip. I'm probably going to break it down to maybe less than 1 minute, but here we go.
And the winner is...
Is it me? Is it me?
Dylan Mulvaney!
Oh. And he looks as shocked as I do with a pretend boob or a bra cup tucked beneath that red dress. Oh, look at that. Dylan's practicing his Jennifer Lawrence walk up those stairs. Don't fall over, Dilly, baby. We don't want to see the goods underneath. Ugh.
Oh my God!
You know, I've seen Oscar winners going to the podium. They never go, oh my God, oh. Like the narcissists that they are, because they've got a pre-prepared speech because they know they might get that moment where their name is called out and they won the best actress or actor Oscar. I will say this much about Mr. Mulvaney. He is Tootsie for 2023. Now, if you don't know who I'm talking about, Dustin Hoffman, based Jewish actor, played a character called Tootsie back in 1982. I do believe he won the Oscar for that role. And yeah, he hit the point of that film is that he was a jobless actor. He wasn't getting accepted for roles because of the way he looked. Then he decided to transform himself into a woman, into a soap star, I believe. And suddenly he was getting casting calls. He was getting hit upon by Sidney Pollack. I believe he was the director. Off the cuff of my head, folks, I'm saying this like it is. And if it's all wrong, I shall put a screener in front of you so you know that I can trip up sometimes. So that's why I called Mr. Mulvaney the modern day Tootsie. So he's basically on stage fooling everybody, but nobody in the process, because we all know he's a fake. He's faking real womanhood in place of this womanhood, making fun of transgender people who might feel they have earned a place on stage right there. But this guy's an absolute fake. In COVID, Dylan himself said, I had to think of something to keep my mental stability going, so I decided to go trans. And I'm not talking about a Trans Am car. Nope, I'm going to go full trans and tell everybody I am now celebrating womanhood. And this lady right here looks like, yeah, who the F is she or he, I'm going to say. And this guy right here, he's not amused either. Some people are just looking in bewilderment in this audience thinking, who the fuck is this guy?
We made it to the mainstream. 532 days ago, I made a coming out video.
So we do blame Anheuser-Busch, don't we, from Bud Light. They are all to blame for this. They're the one who kickstarted Dylan's career by saying, hey, do you want to be trans and give us Bud Light a bit of a kick up the old booty wooty? Instead they've tanked their sales all the way down to the ground. Your Days of Manhood series, Dylan. Get it right, baby.
Life has been changed for the better, but on the flip side, there's also been an extreme amount of transphobia and hate. And I know that my community is feeling it.
That's not true, actually. I disagree, because if anything, we've been having an absolute laugh at Dylan's antics. Nothing transphobic about it. If I want to say Dylan is a he, pretending to be a she, there's nothing transphobic about that, is it? So I'm not sure why he feels the need to throw shade at people like that. If anything, I've got monetized off Dylan and it's been absolutely fine. So him standing on stage going, oh, they're throwing shade at me and everybody of the community, who he's mocking, by the way. He's mocking the trans community. So say what you want about that, but he is. Hang on a minute. Is this a dude right here? You know what? I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. I'm probably going to put my foot further in my mouth than I need to.
Will you stay with us this morning?
I'll stay with you forever.
Okay.
I'm never going away.
But if you thought that was bad, folks, this story, well, had me almost reaching for the vomit bucket. The new Punisher writer reveals one of his goals for the series is to reimagine and revamp some very cool pre-existing villains. Also plans to make the Punisher a woman. Well, if you're basing on Gina Carano and her character of Angel Dust from the first Deadpool movie, yeah, I could go along with that. But I'm guessing this female Punisher is going to be £50. Now, the nearest person I can think of that played a version of the female Punisher, albeit not a very good one, very low budget, was Pamela Anderson in Barbed Wire. That's the only one I can think of for two obvious reasons. Oh god, yeah, this is not going to be boding well, is it? Because DC Comics are dead. I think they did a recent comic with Huntress, and apparently it's so bad it's not even worth talking about here. But female Punisher, well, I've worked with several female Punishers. They didn't need to have guns to be insufferable. They were just punishing by their very nature of being a woman and inflicting justice on men in their office. So, hey. Of course, now we get to another cringe-tastic story of the week. So late night hosts announce new podcast on Spotify. Who are the late night hosts, you ask? Well, it's obviously Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Mr. Wokester himself, John Oliver, Seth Meyers, and this fat bastard in the middle, I believe, might be part of the proceedings, the now defunct James Corden. And what this is all in aid of, because apparently it's to support the writers of their own chat shows that nobody gives a shit about anymore. And you know, when you see these guys on their own, it's quite pathetic to look at. So let's just have a gander and see what unfolds before our very eyes.
Corden's late night sign off.
You know, when I first moved here to America to take over this show, all I would hear was talk of the late...
Or take over America because he's so goddamn fat.
...night wars. But then I came to realise we're not at war.
Yeah, if I were you folks, just don't even look at the Spotify playlists for this. It's going to be absolutely trash. For me, when it comes to chat show hosts, the ones I can ring off the top of my head, Johnny Carson, Dave Letterman, Jay Leno, Craig Kilborn, obviously the GOAT for me, Craig Ferguson, and Conan O'Brien, who, funny enough, while he was kicked off NBC and formed his own company, Team Coco, on YouTube, that he's had more success on his own than he did with NBC. So those are the only guys I hold in reverence. And yeah, Conan O'Brien certainly hasn't gone down the woke rabbit hole, but Jimmy Kimmel certainly has. Kimmel, back in the day, he had the Man Show, celebrating being an alpha male, beautiful women on his show. Now it's like, oh, look at me now, I'm a cookie cutter doughboy, I've grown a beard and I'm wokey dokey. So these gentlemen deserve all the not so great success they have coming their way. They've got enough money in the bank. Why make a Spotify podcast no one's going to listen to? I mean, you got Joe Rogan, who is killing it, so he's got nothing to worry about. And these guys, they're just going to die a death. I mean, by the time the chat show resurfaces after the Hollywood strike, which I reckon is going to go on until probably February of 2024, they're going to be forgotten about. No one's going to care which actor or actress is going to come out there and promote their new film. Actually, I do actually have one person in mind who might just do that, Rachel Zegler. So apparently, her new prequel for the Hunger Games, her character of Lucy Baird apparently will wear her sexuality on her sleeve. So she's the opposite of Katniss Evergreen, who was humble and very introverted, but her new version is going to be the complete sexy little animal of that. But I'm not really going to talk about that today. It was the Snow White leak this week. That's kind of nice alliteration rhyming there, regarding what the plot of the proposed Snow White film is. And as you can see in my highlighted paragraph, I might edit this or I might read it verbatim. The climax of the film is an epic battle between Snow White and her allies, and Grimhild and her forces. Snow White and Grimhild have a final showdown, which ends with Snow White killing Grimhild. But not before the evil queen revealed a shocking secret about Snow White's real mother. Shock horror, and the curse Grimhild put on the mirror. The magic mirror has now been Snow White's mother all along. Damn those pesky kids. Snow White doesn't believe Grimhild's words as she tries breaking the curse of the mirror and saving the kingdom and her mother's soul, who was trapped in the mirror by Grimhild. But before Snow White could do anything, Grimhild broke the mirror and shattered it into 1,000,000 pieces, which led to a fight between Snow White and the evil queen. Snow White brilliantly kills her using the mirror itself, as the spirit Snow White's mother inside the mirror leashes out of anger. But things go wrong as Snow White's actions begin to change. But everything ends in peace as the mirror was thrown into the river. The film ends with Snow Shite and Jonathan getting married. The same Jonathan, played by Mark Burnap, who apparently might have his scenes cut from the film. Oh dear.
Whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. But it's...
They have a grand ceremony, ladies and gentlemen, attended by the whole kingdom. They rule together, but I thought she needed no man. With the 7 dwarves and their friends by their side, as Snow White becomes the powerful and just Yas queen her mother once was. The movie finishes with a breathtaking wedding and the kingdom folk celebrating. How did the original 1937 end? That's right, the old hag is killed by a boulder. It's hilarious to watch. It's so funny. And that's what we were kind of shortchanged. I wanted to see some sort of a showdown with the dwarves and the old evil hag, but she was killed by a boulder and lightning. It's just really freaking hilarious. If this is true, and I have reason to believe it is, wow, this is what they're taking forward. I can see why the reshoots are happening. Well, they can't be happening now because of the strike, but you know what? Come round to March 2024, they either release the film as it is now, or they delay it until 2025 or the end of next year, and then we'll see what happens. But Rachel Zegler has done so much damage with her big gobshite mouth. I don't think you can really convince the public that they've got to pay to go and watch this film. Put it on streaming. And for people like me who don't pay Disney money on streaming, they go via the Anne Bonny route. Just do that instead and see what happens, because this film sounds like an absolute disaster. It's already stuck in quicksand. No one's willing to pull it out. And the quicksand. And what more can I say, folks? So listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this absolutely crazy podcast today, make sure you leave a like below. Make sure you slap that subscribe button like it was Katniss Evergreen's butt cheeks. And if I were you, and if you were me, you better come back for the next video.
I think the gay guy's unstable.
Oh, has he been naughty? I'll take care of him.